Hello, everybody, and welcome to the PHLY Eagles post-game show after a successful survive and advance game for the Eagles, a 22-10 victory over the Green Bay Packers, and we are presented by Bet365 and TrueMark Financial. Download the Bet365 app and use code PHLY365 when you sign up. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365 and visit TrueMark.com/compare for full details and to apply today. TrueMark Financial, federally insured by the NCUA, equal opportunity lender. And we've got a lot to talk about here on the PHLY Eagles postgame show with Super Bowl champion Vinny Curry, Jamie Lynch, and Fran Duffy. The Eagles defense and special teams forcing 4 turnovers, an unbelievable play by Dallas Goedert, making it for the Eagles. Ooh. The offense, not great. We'll talk about it all. We'll also hear from Nick Sirianni and Zach Berman live from the LINC, but we got to go around the horn first to start with takeaways. And Jamie, you have been waiting for this one all year long. I'm going to start with you.
It came at the most opportune time, a game-sealing interception from my boy Q. Quinyon gets his pick. I hit my Saquon super boost on Bet365 for 100-plus yards, and the Eagles move on. It was great. It was good to see Quinyon and the team really enjoy him getting his pick.
Fran, your biggest takeaway?
I mean, the takeaways in general, defensively, certainly were a big reason why the Eagles were able to get this win. But I think the big thing, too, we're going to talk about this offense and some of the inconsistencies we saw. But obviously a lot to take away from this W.
All right, and Vinny Curry, how about you?
Oh my God,
He's doing the AJ! But he's got a better book choice here.
Bah!
There it is.
Nah, all seriously. I thought Nolan Smith
he was awesome.
the highlight, of the defense today. He stepped up big time, man. Like in these last couple games, he's really, really putting on a campaign to, for that guy that we've been looking for. So I'm really happy.
He changed this game dramatically. Not aside from his play. I mean, he injured. He went right at that tackle.
True. Elton Jenkins.
And that changed the game from early in the first quarter. And it wasn't dirty. It wasn't vicious. It was just a crazy football dude that went after a tackle, man on man.
Also had a sack of Jordan Love on 3rd and 4. That was only the third time all year that Jordan Love had been sacked on 3rd and 4 or less. And then another sack at the end of the game. He was awesome. Go ahead, Frank.
How many times do we hear him on the broadcast? Right? Like when we're sitting there, you hear somebody screaming, you're like, "What the hell was that?" And it was Nolan Smith just going nuts. And he brings a level of energy that every good defense certainly needs.
It's the first thing you said when you came in from the game, Vinny. You said, "How about my guy Nolan Smith?"
Oh my God! Listen, like the first sack was he went up 2 steps, came in on the hook to the inside move, and the speed to really catch him going to the outside was crazy. The dude is elite player. And
for a guy his size, he continues to be a super impressive run defender, setting that hard edge, and it's hard for me to remember a player who I feel like improved this much as the season went along.
Dude, monster, man. Student of the game.
Love that. Yeah, he was fantastic. Now, this defensive performance, obviously, really impressive. Holding the Packers to 10 points, forcing 3 turnovers on defense, plus the turnover that Oren Burks forced on the game's opening kickoff. You have an interception from Darius Slay, Zack Baun, and then the Quinyon one at the end of the game. This defensive performance, Fran, it felt like, as the whole world was watching, cemented them as the best defense in the league.
Yeah, and look, obviously, take into account the fact that this was, especially by the time we got to the third quarter, they were dropping like flies over on that side, but the results speak for themselves. You're creating those turnovers. We talked about it as the turnovers started to swing back in the Eagles' defensive favor in the second half of the season. This is what you wanted to see. You want to see a defense that is able to take the football away when you get into the postseason. The best defenses when you get to the playoffs are opportunistic, and they make you pay because those turnovers in this game, they proved to be the difference because the offense was very up and down. They weren't even able to capitalize on a number of those plays, but to come up with those turnovers was it was the number one reason for the victory here tonight.
Yeah, absolutely.
I thought that interception by Slay was probably one of the most impressive interceptions I've seen playing football. Like, that was crazy.
It was real makeup speed on that play.
I was there in the moment. Like, it was crazy, bro.
It was fantastic. The makeup speed. Then he leaves the game and then comes back. Now, we will talk about the Eagles suffered some injuries themselves. Yeah. Nakobe Dean carted off the field with a knee injury, declared out. You would expect that is a serious injury, and it did look like Oren Burks was a bit of a weak spot for the Eagles throughout this game. We'll get into all that as the things go out, and we'll also get into the machinations of when and who the Eagles are likely to play against. But just sticking on this defensive performance, Jamie, what was it like for you? What was most impressive? What's
most impressive was the physicality. They brought the thunder from the opening kickoff to the final whistle. Unfortunately, some Packers went down in the process, but I thought physically in the trenches, both lines, linebackers, they were looking to bring the pain today. And I think it was led by Nolan Smith. When you have that crazy guy that just loves contact and football up front, you get a CJGJ in the back, you get a little bit of crazy mixed in with some good football. And I thought they just completely manhandled the Packers today.
How about you, Fran?
Yeah, I think to me, the big thing was, can you come out and force them to be one-dimensional? And look, Josh Jacobs was able to get his.
He's good.
He finished with 121 yards. Obviously, he had that 31-yard near touchdown early in the second half. But I think when you look at what this offense can do at their best, Green Bay, is that they can be multidimensional and they can beat you in a lot of different ways. If you weren't going to stop them in the run, you had to find other ways to make up for that. And I thought this defense was able to come through in a big way. And look, you lose Jaden Reed. You came in without Watson. They lose Dubs midstream. Right. But they were still able to come up with those big plays when they needed them most.
Yeah, Jacobs, 18 carries for 81 yards with a long of 31. Not too bad. By EPA per play, it was their third worst offensive performance of the season. The defense obviously answered the bell in this game. And I think it's fair to say that for the most part, the offense did not do its part. They put up 22 points. 7 of them come immediately after that initial turnover. But Jalen Hurts in this game, 13 of 21 for 131 yards and 2 touchdowns. But he did seem not quite himself. Do you think that's fair to say, Jamie?
Yeah, I think so. I think on that, it was a pretty cool trick tush push on the 3rd and 1. Right. He had AJ open. He missed him by like 2-3 yards. And that tough. To me was just kind of like.
Well, we've talked about when Jalen makes mistakes, it's often it's like he's not throwing it where he should, right? Or he's being a little bit hesitant. He's not usually inaccurate. Yeah. And there were some real inaccuracies in this game that were atypical for him. Even frankly, the Goedert touchdown was thrown behind him, right?
And that's where the rust part of that's where the rust conversation comes into play. Is the inaccuracy, the indecision or the indecisiveness. That's the stuff that can get worked out. But the rust element, I think, comes in when you talk about some of the erratic ball placement throughout the night.
But to your point, Bo, I was mentioning to Fran when we were sitting back there at the desk. If you look at Lamar's stat line last night, it's not that optically different from Jalen's. 180 yards, 13 for 21. When you look, because Fran pointed it out, he's like, if you look at the box score, it looks relatively okay. But the difference in feel between Lamar last night and Jalen tonight, I think, were worlds of difference.
Now, frankly, I think the play from this game that we're all going to remember was that Dallas Goedert touchdown. I mean,
grown man touchdown.
Is Carrington Valentine allowed to still be in the league, Vinny?
Man, listen, stay off Twitter.
That was tough. I thought it was a good point, I think, by Mina Kimes that the last stiff arm, as he's going to the end zone, was real insult to injury. He had already got there, and then he's like, let me give this guy one last one to remember me by. And that was a huge play in the game. It was 16-10 at that point. The offense had not scored a touchdown since that opening possession. And for him to make that play, really taking it all upon himself was huge.
They have to change the momentum, change the swing of the way that game was going.
Yeah, and that was a nice job from Jalen at the line of scrimmage there, where they're showing that zero pressure look. And we talked about how they like to show those pressure looks and not send everybody. So if you're going to get the ball out, you have to do it decisively and understand that this might be a disguised look. So if that wasn't going to be, a cover 0 blitz, which it ended up being, but if that was, let's say they fell out of that into cover 2 and one of those guys underneath was flashing underneath that route, that could have been a disaster. So it was a nice job from Jalen of understanding, hey, this is probably what we're getting here. This is what I want to check into, and it was able to beat it for a big play.
Especially remembering how this Eagles season ended last year against Tampa Bay, being beaten by so many of those big blitzes.
Yeah, no question. And so, and look, it might be something that we're talking about this week if the Eagles do end up playing Tampa, which we'll get into. But I think when you're looking at the ability to defeat pressure, that is certainly one of the check boxes. One of the boxes you want to check coming into this season. Through it, the success rate has been up and down. This was a good example of a positive development there for Hurts from that standpoint.
And so how that sets up in terms of who the Eagles are going to play next is the result of tonight's game will determine it. If the Bucs beat the Commanders, the Bucs will come here and play the Eagles most likely next Saturday because the league has usually split up the NFC games Saturday and Sunday. So if the Bucs win tonight, it's likely here at the LINC next Saturday. And if the Commanders beat the Bucs tonight, the Eagles will play the winner of tomorrow night's game between the Vikings and the Rams, and that will be next Sunday here at the LINC.
They're not going to make the team that's playing tomorrow play on Saturday.
Sure.
No.
Essentially.
What are you rooting for, Jamie?
I'd be lying if I didn't have some Tampa Bay PTSD.
Okay.
No doubt about that. Trust tree here. I'll share my soul. I think I'd most want to face the Rams. And I know that sounds a little crazy because they are the Super Bowl winner quarterback coach combination of these teams.
They got a lot going on.
Yeah, I think the Rams is where I'm at.
Okay, how about you, Vinny? Matter to you?
Nah, I don't. The way this defense looked tonight, it don't really matter to me.
I think the next game is actually easier than today's game.
I think so too. And I also think that there is something to, you got like the playoff jitters out of the way a little bit. And I told you, Vinny, before we started, that this game reminded me a little bit of that Falcons game from 2017, where you just had to survive and advance and escape. And then you sort of get into it after that and play your best football.
Absolutely. So, but back to that point, I think I like the Rams on that one too.
Yeah.
I think I like the Rams, especially in Philadelphia. Yeah, give me the Rams.
I'll admit it. Jaden Daniels terrifies me.
Let us know what you think in the chat. Who you're rooting for. Do you want to play the Bucs? Do you want to play the Vikings? Do you want to play the Rams? Where do you fall, Fran?
I think you can convince me either way.
I mean, you want the Bucs for super points.
Yeah, I mean that's
what really matters.
That's what we're really hoping for here. I think everybody in the chat would agree with that.
This is going to be a very ball don't lie swooper situation.
Swooper's most important.
But that said, I mean, when you look at the state of the Tampa defense, it's been bad for most of the year, but they are starting to get a little bit healthier. They get Winfield back in the lineup here tonight. It might be not as bad as what we've seen from that unit for the most of this year.
I kind of like the idea of like let's settle all family business. Let's take out the Bucs and prove how bad we really are, how much better we've gotten.
I like the idea of playing Washington a third time.
Yeah, but you can't do that until the NFC Championship.
Oh yeah, true.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're talking either Bucs or that's a good point. Yep. All right, so then
give me the Rams.
I think I might prefer Bucs.
Okay.
Yeah,
I think so.
Ugh.
I mean, do you want to play Baker? Do you want to play
Baker was
Darnold?
freaking
or do you want to
good
play
this year.
Stafford? Yeah.
If you're playing the Rams, that means they're coming off of a win over the Vikings. Now they might say like the emotional win
I'll
there.
I'll take my statement. Give me Baker.
There's also some number out there about Stafford and McVay together, like coming East Coast, and they're like, there's something like undefeated coming East Coast.
Yeah.
I gotta look at that number. I remember seeing that earlier this fall.
I'm following.
I don't know. Tampa scares me more than the Rams.
All right, let's talk about the book, because AJ Brown, 1 catch for 10 yards, only 3 targets in this game.
I did not see that.
How do we feel?
If I was a betting person, which I don't bet, if I was a betting person, I think I would have lost my money tonight.
Fortunately, the people who followed our best bets on Bet365 came out. I think they came out ahead.
Yeah, I was 2-0.
I think I was 1-1. Saquon going down at the end there. Oh my God!
Super
Chase
boost.
the record, Saquon. AJ looked like he was really giving him crap for going down there at the end. That was funny. I think it's more of a. I think it's more of a offensive passing game concern overall than like a specifically AJ thing.
Sure.
Right.
But I mean, they are not going to go to the Super Bowl if this is their passing game.
No, I mean absolutely not. And look, so much of that yardage again, like came on some not so great throws as well. So it's not even like, oh, you were able to connect on some big plays. They have a lot to clean up, certainly. If they're, whether that's Tampa, Minnesota, or like Austin P coming to the LINC next Saturday, they have some things they have to correct.
Is it Austin P or P Austin?
I think it's Austin P.
Okay. I do think that, one thing that we sort of try to talk ourselves into before the playoffs is, maybe the offense has a bunch of different tricks up their sleeves. Maybe there's some things they haven't shown that they're going to do in this game. And there were a few things like that. I mean, the tush-push play
Fake
for one.
push, yeah.
We saw a Jalen Hurts under center play with no play action, which I don't think we've ever seen before. They come out on that opening possession and they go like 3 different personnel groups. They go 22 personnel on the second play. But in general, the structure of the passing game was still pretty vanilla, right, Fran?
Yeah, and a lot of the plays that we've seen from them in the past, like it's just, again, they kind of lean on the same like core concepts, and we see the same handful of plays on repeat from week to week. So what the reasoning for that, no one really knows the answer that's outside of that building, but that is certainly one of the frustrating aspects of watching this team play offense on a weekly basis.
Brutal. What did you make of the passing game, Vinny?
So, like I said, if I would have betted on 365, I think I would have lost my money because if you would have told me that AJ lead this game without a touchdown, I'd have called you crazy. But but it goes back to showing that this is his first game back. I'm pretty sure I'll see that he's going to open it up more. He'll definitely get AJ more involved.
Who's that fall on more, Jalen or Kellen Moore? I would have to think first read looks, AJ has to be scripted for more than 2, right? Like,
well, there's the whole thing about AJ versus man, Devontae versus zone.
Sure.
And you told us all week, Fran, about how like in versus cloud coverages, AJ Brown was much less effective. Is that what you think this was?
Well, so I went through Next Gen has the initial like coverage breakdowns already out, and just looking back through it, they actually played a lot more cover 4 than what we've seen from Green. Now, this is the early reads on it, so that it might change here as their analysts go through the film and kind of remock it up. But their early read on it is that Green Bay actually played a little bit more cover 4 than what we've seen, and less cover 2, less cover 6, which are those cloud coverages, but still a heavy amount of zone coverage. And those are the things that we've talked about with Jalen, where he has had trouble reading those things out. And so when he has typically had those, typically AJ, it's like, all right, man-to-man, I'm going to AJ or I'm going to Dallas. Typically, that's what we've seen. On the blitz play for the touchdown to Dallas, that was man-to-man. He said, I'm going to go to my matchup here to Dallas Goedert in the flat. But when he's going to go against teams that like to play zone, it's been more Devontae Smith, settling into soft spots in zone coverage, making himself available. And in this game, those numbers bared out once again.
And it's crazy because sometimes, Jalen can make nothing out of something out of nothing.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So it's just like when he holds it and he's scrambling around, boom, touchdown. Or, first down, it's like
the Jahan Dotson touchdown.
Yes, exactly.
I mean, he did a very good job surveying the scene. It looked like there was a point where he wanted to flee the pocket. Yeah. And then he realized, okay, this is actually pretty clean. Let me look around. And then it got
bigger and bigger. It was like oil and water. Like it just kept growing. And then all of a sudden he had like 8 feet around him in a perfect U shape. That was an incredible job by the O-line.
Then there were a couple plays, like he took a couple sacks in this game that were kind of like, what are we doing here?
I need him to be smarter about his head next week. There was a couple plays.
That's true.
Getting rid of the ball. Like he's very close to being independent neurologist flagged. Like any hit where his head's on the ground, like they may want to look at that. Like I need him to go down.
Even more worrying because the Eagles made Kenny Pickett the number 2 quarterback and not Tanner McKee.
Good point. But I need him to protect himself.
When under pressure in this game, and pressure is a loose term
extremely subjective.
Well, not just subjective,
but it's also he's bringing it on himself.
Yes, right. the time to pressure number again was very, very high. Like to Jamie's point, that you had that touchdown to Jahan Dotson. It's a perfect, pristine pocket for almost 7 seconds. That doesn't happen in the NFL.
Yeah.
But under pressure, according to Next Gen Stats, Jalen Hurts tonight 3 for 9, 23 yards, 2 sacks. It's like that's not good. Those are poorest numbers there from the pass game. So you just need to be a little bit better, certainly, in those scenarios.
Meanwhile, the running game, Saquon Barkley, 25 carries for 119 yards, 4.8 yards a carry. It's interesting, like 25 carries, 119 seems like a lot. It felt like they still could have gone to Saquon even more in this game, right, Vinny?
Absolutely. And then there's some of the like the long run he could have broke today.
Yeah,
it changes that number drastically.
Totally.
You know what I mean? But he chose to slide though. But
and this was a high-ranked Packers run defense as well.
I was just getting ready to say that as well because the interior, the Packers interior defense, it seemed to be like the strong point in the run games, and then they stacked the box all night tonight.
I said this to Fran in the pregame show. It is so nice to be an Eagles fan because you're so spoiled by the offensive line play.
Yes.
Like, I don't care if we face the number 1, the number 2, the number 3, and the number 4 rush defenses here on this Super Bowl run. I have full confidence that they will be able to get yardage, no problem.
And I think part of that is something we've talked about all season and really for a while, Fran, is just the variety of the schemes in the running game. And in this game, it seemed like they were able to lean on those outside runs as opposed to the interior runs for the most part.
Yeah, that was something we talked about on Thursday. We talked a little bit about the halftime show as well. But when you watched Green Bay over the course of the season, especially in the second half, they were really good against the run, and they were outstanding inside between the tackles. They were allowing 0.6 yards before contact per rush, which was number 1 in the NFL on inside runs. So basically, TJ Slayton, Kenny Clark, those guys were not giving up any ground. But when you go back and you watch Detroit, you watch San Francisco, you watch some of these other teams that are pretty well-designed run games going into those matchups, you could see that they wanted to prioritize those perimeter run plays. So whether it was like stretch tosses, sweeps, outside zone, anything to try and get to stretch that defense out, to try and make those guys run, then that they were able to find a little bit more success. Success rate was still pretty high, was still in the top 10, top 12 of the league, but you were getting a little bit more headway by getting those plays outside the numbers. And in this game, a number of Saquon's biggest plays certainly came outside the tackle box.
As a group, the offense, by either success rate or EPA per drive, EPA per play, this was either their third or fourth worst performance of the season, which, that does track with what it looked like.
And honestly, it's kind of been that trend now down the stretch. The last few weeks, it was the Pittsburgh game.
Well, the Pittsburgh game, they looked great.
Yeah, Pittsburgh
game,
and
then they looked great the first quarter before of the Commanders game the next week before Jalen Hurts goes out.
Yeah, and the Dallas game, the run game wasn't there. As on a success rate basis, and so it's something to monitor. I was hoping that with the week off, that things look a little bit better, a little bit cleaner. It was going up against a good run defense. We'll see what it looks like next week.
A little bit of an update, not officially, but Bob Brookover just tweeted Nakobe Dean leaving the locker room on crutches with a large knee brace.
Yeah, that doesn't.
So that sounds like it's a season over to me. Hopefully, I'm wrong.
It doesn't sound good.
So he may be
lost.
He's
a little bruised up. That's it.
Yeah, and
back in the day, they should say, "Put some dirt on it. You'll be all right."
I would like that to have been the case.
That sucks.
Man, it does.
And just to talk about Nakobe Dean for a second,
monster.
You talk about some of the stories of this season. For him to have been, a rookie who couldn't get on the field, a season marred by injury his second year, and then the way that he played this year after winning the job in training camp. He was awesome next to Nakobe Dean.
Oh, he was.
Next to Zack Baun.
He was all over the field today.
He had a monster game,
and it showed he's explosive. The way maybe we talked about this last week. The way they cue him up on blitzes is crazy.
You hit your bet on him
by a half tackle. I was able to hit. He was
halfway through the second quarter.
I was able to get it in before the injury. So I think when you're looking at Nakobe Dean, the big thing. Ken Flagel, former Eagles assistant coach, he used to use
who's got him tattooed? Chris Long.
Chris Long,
yes.
Yeah. He would use the term high-speed internet. This is a guy that's playing with high-speed internet. Nakobe Dean is playing with high-speed internet. He sees things fast, and that allows him to play a little bit faster than what he would time on a stopwatch. And I think when you look at his ability to play downhill, that's a strength of his game, and the Eagles will certainly miss that here without him for this defense the rest of the way.
All right, so if we take sort of a step back, just big picture vibes check, how you feeling about the Birds, Jamie?
Okay. Not as confident as I was heading into today.
Okay.
Now, I think the offense can pull out of it. I do think it's not, like, the passing game is not dead. I still think there's hope for it. I think I like their matchup next week. Still pretty good. I don't want to be a downer. Still pretty good. I would have liked to have seen more out of the passing game.
How about you, Vinny?
I love our pass rush, and I love our defensive backs. So I feel pretty good about it, especially the winner, the dependence on tonight's game and tomorrow night's game, and I like the way it matches up both ways.
Right. How about you, Fran?
I'm feeling good. To me, this was a game where, look, if you were able to come out of this with a win, you kind of build that
Yeah, I
momentum,
think so.
going down to me, because I was a little bit concerned about this matchup overall, especially on the offensive side. Talking about the pass game, you're able to weather that storm, get through with a win. You get on to week number 2.
I think the pass rush is a good point, though, because you talk about the way things had been trending at the end of the season. The pass rush was not as good at the end of the season, and it seemed like they were the group that most of all could have used a little bit of a rest at the end of the season. And so for them to get that bye week off, I thought this was the best they looked. Now, we got to keep in mind that Packers offensive line was dealing with injuries, but I thought as a group, this was the best they've looked in about a month or so.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah, Josh Sweat didn't really show up much.
True.
Jalen Carter was getting in the backfield, but I thought Nolan Smith, if he was the defensive line star of the game there.
Do we have a consensus in the chat on who they're rooting to play?
I have not seen. I'm keeping my eye on a little bit of the Commanders and Tampa Bay.
I also want to see the play count today. I'm curious.
We can get to that.
Yeah, I'm curious to see the defensive line play count. This here we are. Playoff game. We go down the stretch. I didn't really see a lot of rotation. Did you?
No, I did not see. We saw.
I don't think Huff or Hunt played a lot.
I saw a little bit of Hunt.
We saw some Hunt. Yeah.
I don't know that we saw
much
of Huff.
I didn't know that we saw much of Huff at all. Yeah.
Yeah.
Here's some Eagles defense numbers while you're pulling those. So this is from Next Gen Stats. The Eagles defense limited Jordan Love 3 of 11 passing for 58 yards and 3 picks on those downfield throws. That's the throws of at least 10 air yards. So outstanding job from the secondary, from the defense as a whole.
Overrated.
Quinyon Mitchell targeted 6 times as the nearest defender, allowed 2 catches for 10 yards, and had that pick down the field in the end of the fourth quarter.
And I also want to go on.
Who
and
Love?
say,
Is that it? Or just the Packers? Okay.
No, Jordan Love was over. I'll say it.
I think Fran and I are getting a lot of that from the people. I didn't watch this game and think that Jalen Hurts. Well, go ahead.
You got to admit, Zach has put on a Defensive Player of the Year campaign, and
unbelievable.
You ever see somebody just drop the mic after they just rip the stage? I feel like he dropped the mic today, like bow. You know what I mean?
It's fantastic.
The one that hit the ground and come right back the next play to pick it.
Yes.
Was crazy.
Yeah, that interception was nice.
Bro, it was just like, what else he got to do just to win, Defensive Player of the Year?
Mm-hmm. They showed us a good replay of that pick. What happened on it, Fran?
Yeah, so what it looked like was that they were just playing quarters coverage. And so they were running a dig route from one side of the field, Green Bay. And so Jordan Love has his eyes to the right-hand side. Zack Baun was playing underneath zone on the opposite side, and they had an in-breaking route going in that direction. That's why I hate route concepts where you have 2 in-breakers coming from opposite sides, because you might bring a defender into the passing lane that the quarterback is not even looking at. And there on that play, Zack Baun was able to just fall off of it and get into the passing lane, made a great play on the ball. As we've seen all year long, he's got that ability to finish for those interceptions, which, it's just so unique for a guy. Because keep in mind, we talked about how he has never played off-ball linebacker before and what that means from a mental standpoint. He's only really played downhill. Yeah, he dropped in coverage as a Sam linebacker at Wisconsin. He did a little bit of that with the Saints. What he's done in coverage has just been unbelievable for a guy that just has not been asked to do that throughout his career.
So is there any Wisconsin linebackers that Howie and the scouting department should be looking at? TJ Edwards and now Baun. Might as well go to where the cheese is good.
This year, I think they're lacking.
I like that. Cheese is good. I like that. I like that.
By the way, Bo, Julia threw up a poll in the chat.
Producing by Julia.
Yeah, the early results. Most people want the Rams, followed by the Bucks, and then the Vikings.
The majority going for the Rams at 53%, and the Bucks at 34%. People are a little nervous about the Vikings down at 12%, but I think the Eagles will be okay against any of those teams.
I actually think minus the Vikings, because Brian Flores scares me. The other 2 I think are both easier than this one.
I think Bowles scares me more than Flores.
Yeah, does Bowles scare you more than Flores?
I think so. I think there's something with him and Jalen.
Got it. So just the
boogeyman.
Yeah.
Marmaduke or whatever that. No, that's a dog. What's that one?
Yeah, I'm not sure where you were going with Marmaduke.
What's that one?
Lassie? Scooby-Doo?
No, damn it.
Old Yeller?
I'm not a big scary movie guy, but I know there's the one.
Clearly.
Damn it. It's the meme in the back seat, and it's like, why can't you just be normal? I'm going to need some help from the chat here. I got nothing.
Goofy?
No, it's not a dog movie.
Oh, Babadook?
Airbud?
He was a good receiver. He had speed. I'll come up with it.
Badonkadonk?
I got nothing.
I mean,
The Babadook.
Babadook.
That's what I meant, not
Babadook.
Marmaduke.
okay.
The Babadook.
All right. Fair enough. Let's check out the super chats that we have. A good bunch. Happy about that. Claude Debussy says, you question why teams are calling Kellen Moore, but then you remember the teams that need head coaches are bad teams.
Damn.
I mean, Saints are bad.
But I do. I mean, this
Jaguars
is
are
the conversation
bad.
that we always have. How do you disentangle from the offensive scheme? What is Nick Sirianni? What is Jalen Hurts' preferences? What is Kellen Moore calling it? Especially knowing the way that Kellen Moore has called games in the past and seeing what they did in Week 18 with Tanner McKee. I don't know.
It's very different from from Kellen Moore offenses I've watched in the past.
Yeah. And so, I mean, it might be worth an interview, but
Yeah.
I also don't necessarily know that I would say that Kellen Moore is like the most wants you to run through a wall personality that I've ever seen
Sure.
based on his press conferences, but maybe he's better behind the scenes.
Right. It's also not to say that like the offense schematically has been wondrous on its edges either. Like we could even say like, hey, we want to lean into the things that the quarterback wants to do. Still not doing like a ton like around that either.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Okay. Santiago says, imagine the poetic justice of Tanner McKing winning a Super Bowl.
That was for you.
I mean, I don't have to.
That was a donation right to Bo's
I don't have
bank
to
account.
imagine it. Time is not linear, and so I have already lived this future existence that is happening.
Well, this is also 2 weeks in a row that Santiago has made you smile. So
Ooh, yeah, you guys
Hey.
are onto something here.
Listen, the heart wants what the heart wants. Kevin, our man Kevin, who says, thanks for ending the Packers season. Signed everyone here in Chicago.
You're welcome.
Vince, checking in, said, love this team going forward. The defense looked amazing.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. You're waking up tomorrow morning like, hell yeah, bring anyone on as this defense.
Well, it's the kind of thing, like this Packers defense came in and they were rated highly on the heels of being able to force a lot of turnovers. And this Eagles defense has forced so many turnovers over the past month of the season that like the inner part of me is like, well, they can't just keep forcing all these turnovers. But even on a success rate basis, they were pretty good in this game. Although I would say more missed tackles in this game from the defense than I'm used to.
But that's Green Bay, man.
Okay.
That's been their calling card all season long. Those backs have been really tough to be able to get to the ground. Both guys, Wilson and Jacobs, both finished in the top 20 in forced missed tackle rate. And then Jaden Reed has been one of the best yards after catch receivers in football. So I think that comes with the territory of taking on Green Bay.
Vinny, what is the juice level for you for a home playoff game versus like a regular game as a player?
I was hyped. Yo, I was there all the way to.
Yeah, you were there tonight.
You
So
were
tell us
on the
about
board,
it.
too. You're the
all
big
the
boy.
way
I
to,
heard
like,
they put
the
you up there
fourth
to hype the crowd up.
Oh, bro, it was sick. Oh,
People
man.
were speculating that you yelled Saquon.
Yeah, I did. I did. I kept saying, "Let's go!" Like that. But the energy was amazing down there. Like it was electric. And anytime like the game was starting to get stale, them Eagle fans were letting it hear. Oh, you heard boo! Like damn.
They deserve to be booed at one point in this game.
It was
The offense,
crazy.
yeah.
But just to see, the defense ball out live. I told you that interception was crazy.
Mhm.
The 2 sacks from Nolan was crazy. And before the injury with Nakobe, he was playing out of his mind. To see that,
Yeah, it was all over the place.
in person was crazy. Like, shout out to the defense, man. Shout out to the special teams as well.
Absolutely.
I thought
A lot of starters out on that.
It was
special
interesting.
teams
This was a
unit.
change the Eagles
Yeah.
made this week, knowing that it was the playoffs. They put a few extra
Nolan,
defensive
DeJean,
starters.
I think I saw.
Kenny Gainwell got a tackle. And
Yeah, it
stuff.
was
Yeah.
a big time
Down
tackle.
there.
That was a
He
huge
was
tackle.
down there balling, man. And them guys took it serious.
And that's a very good kickoff returner, too, Keyshawn Nixon.
exactly.
So they very much sort of turned the dial up there. It's also a good reminder of just like the way that special teams works, that you are usually playing with bottom of the roster players. Now, there are some teams in the league who play defensive guys. I mean, even in 2017, like Malcolm Jenkins is playing every special team snap. So just the difference in quality there was notable. The other super chats to talk about, we have one from Aaron D, who says, if Nakobe Dean's injury is serious and goes into next season, do you think that increases the chances of Baun getting a contract? That's a very good question.
Good question. How does that impact
And
it?
I think it does. I mean, if this is, knock on wood, it's not.
Right.
But if it's like a torn ACL or something from Nakobe Dean, then
You
yeah, I
absolutely
think
need
I think it does make you more willing to
Absolutely.
I think so.
have to pay.
I think-
Absolutely,
You can't go from an all-pro linebacker to not like you just. We felt what we lost with TJ Edwards, right? Like it took a whole year plus to recover from that. You can't. I know it's going to cost you more, but you're going to have to pay it.
And not only that, but it would be, and we don't want to talk just about Nakobe, but that would be 3 seasons that you basically lost from Nakobe, right?
Yeah.
I mean, where this would be the only one out of his first 4 years where he would be completely healthy. He's coming off the double, was it Liz Frank?
Yeah.
Yeah, double Liz Frank
Liz
last year in
Franks.
2023.
Liz's Frank.
The double Liz Frank last year. And then if it would be an ACL, that would be rough.
I had the Liz Frank once, and I used to I used to be like, oh man, you're not playing because of a Liz Frank injury, these soft athletes. And then I got it, and I wanted to cry every single morning when I woke up. It was like stepping on shards of glass. It was absolutely
the middle of the foot, right?
Oh, absolutely awful stuff.
Now the devil's advocate would be, well, Vic Fangio basically invented Zack Baun out of thin air this year. He could probably turn
Nope, I'm
some
not
other
playing that
scrap
game.
heap
Pay
guy.
that man his money.
I mean, he deserves to get paid, no doubt about that. But I think you would be more willing to do that if you had Nakobe Dean, and I think that really does change the calculus potentially.
Pay that man his money.
I hope
it's an all-pro Eagles linebacker.
I said 6 weeks ago, pay that man his money. We won't be talking about like this.
Yeah,
Price just went up.
Milton Williams is going to get paid.
Yeah,
as well.
Yesterday's price is not today's price. How we can figure that out.
Michael Toma with the super chat, just hooking us up. We love that.
Thank you, Michael Toma.
Rohit says, "I've never felt worse about a playoff win."
Sure, yeah.
That's a true Philadelphian right there.
Yeah. There has to have been a worse.
One. Yeah, I can't think of one.
I mean,
I would say definitively. Oh yeah, I would definitely feel worse about that one.
The Atlanta one was.
Yeah, but that was.
But if Neil doesn't, I don't know.
Sure, but I don't think you were as let down by the performance in that Falcons.
It was a backup quarterback versus your franchise.
What do you remember about that game, that Falcons game in the playoffs?
I just remember it was too close for comfort.
Yeah, it came down to Julio getting his foot
final
on
play.
Too close for comfort. And
Jalen Mills.
Man, when that clock hit 0, I think we were all so hyped that we already knew that we were going. We don't care who we played. All Madden team could have came in there. Because that was just too close for comfort. And that Wednesday, well, I would say Monday, Tuesday, but that Monday going in there, I want to say we still got chewed out.
It doesn't sound like Doug.
Yeah, Jim Swan.
Yeah. That makes more sense.
Doug.
And then, then we go over to play the Vikings, and then we play Super Bowl, right? And it's still too close for comfort a little bit. But no meaning after that, we won. So it's it was funny, man. Man, good times, man. Good times.
All right. We have a few more super chats to get to. We're not going to get Nick Sirianni. We'll hear what he says from Zach in a little bit. And so we're going to start with our first break of the show. Tell you about our friends at Ice Shaker. There's one right behind Jamie. Look at this bad boy. Look at we'll get it.
I'm off camera, so I can reach now. I didn't want my belly button showing.
It's a beautiful piece of machinery, this bad boy. And it's the perfect gift for the passionate sports fan in your life. Perhaps you've heard of Ice Shaker. Look at this bad boy.
I gotta get one of those.
Feel this, Vinny. It's like it feels great. It's got
nice.
you got the Kelly Green there.
Durable.
I mean, what a pitch, man. They got the Kelly Green and they got the regular Midnight Green, which we have in the other studio. It's all good. It is kitchen grade stainless steel, and it's a bottle that won't absorb odor like plastic bottles do. Third-party test results bear this out. It's got a patented twist in the agitator that breaks up powders but is silent when you shake it instead of that annoying ball. It's third-party tested and will hold ice for over 30 hours.
Woo!
It's customizable, so if you don't even listen, they've got all the licenses for NBA, NFL, NHL, NCAA, Major League Baseball. So any team you want, you can get on that ice shaker, but you can also customize it. If there's just some logo that you want, you can put it on this bad boy. You can send us your logo and check out their custom shop to customize your favorite bottle. The turnaround time on custom bottles is just 3 to 5 business days. The agitator also works as a strainer and makes a very solid tailgating cup for mixed drinks. No big deal. That's when you get a product from the Gronkowski brothers, that's what you would expect. It's fantastic. Order your team-branded bottles today at iceshaker.com and use the code ALLCITY25 for 25% off your order. Ice Shakers, show your support for your teams with the best branded workout bottles on the market. Ice Shakers.
I'm not a big protein guy, but that looks like a hell of a home bar shaker right there. And let me tell you about my friends at TrueMark Financial Credit Union. My wife and I were just talking about this the other day, transferring over a credit card balance that after the holidays jumped a little further than we would have liked it to. And what's better than a 0% APR balance transfer with our friends over at TrueMark Financial Credit Union? Think about this. You can pay off your debt faster with 0 interest until 2026 because TrueMark Financial is offering 0 interest on balance transfers for 12 months. You got to take advantage of this. You got to play the game. So all your payments can go towards reducing your balance and not covering the interest. And here's the play. Transfer your existing balance from another institution to a TrueMark Financial Visa credit card and take advantage of the amazing offer. But hurry, you have to do it by February 28th of this year, 2025. Whether you're interested in earning rewards, cash back, or simply prefer a lower rate for everyday purchases, TrueMark Financial can choose the credit card that best fits your financial needs. Visit TrueMark.com/compare for full details and to apply today. TrueMark Financial, federally insured by the NCUA, equal opportunity lender. Terms and conditions apply. All loans subject to approval. 3% balance transfer fee applies, which is still saving you money in the long run. Standard rates apply after the promotional rate.
Vinny, 2 great celebrations in this game from the Eagles, I thought. You had the Saquon after the
personal foul.
Let's get it. Yeah.
It
was kind of like I'm going to WrestleMania. Was kind of the vibe I got there.
WrestleMania sign, and then let's talk about the interception.
Let's talk about the interception. Take us through it. We should get like a play-by-play. You draw this bad boy up. Take us through.
Q, he's going up. He's like, I got this. It's my first one. It felt like it took 3 minutes and 42 seconds for the ball to come down.
He's like, where's CJGJ?
Where's CJ? Where's that bastard?
He catches the ball. He kicks somebody in the stomach. Boom.
I think it was Reed.
Put him in the pedigree. Bow. I saw Jim Ross come out of there.
He put him through.
He put him in the pedigree. But nah, all jokes aside, that pedigree celebration was sick.
That was fantastic.
Yeah, it was.
A lot of chatter in the chat, Vinny. People want this jacket.
Oh,
that is nice.
So I got this jacket.
Your jacket game is unbelievable.
Listen, I got this jacket at Chalkline, so you guys could, go on there and get the jacket. Tell them VC sent you.
I've never seen anyone with a better jacket game than you.
It's a strong jacket.
I appreciate it.
What were we going to say, Vinny or Fran?
I found the video of the Quignon interception. I was just say I sent it over to you, Julia. The celebration is fantastic. I mean, one of the best celebrations.
It's so good. You know that he's been thinking about that for like 3 months.
Together with the Triple H theme song. It's time to play the game. I gotta put that on my Twitter.
Not bad.
Time to play the game.
We got a few more super chats we can discuss here. Tycho WID, just throwing it out there. Love that. Jacob Tammy says, does Sirianni get fired if they lose the next round? I mean, it would be funny, like on the parade is going down Broad Street, and then all of a sudden Jeffrey's like, you're gone. I think that Nick is safe at this point.
I think at this point, probably.
I think this was the only game that maybe there's some discussions.
I think so. Michael Toma says, was this offensive game plan to minimize turnovers, which is a strength of the Packers defense? That's an interesting question. Did you think that the way things went in this game, Fran, was sort of a cautious, try not to make mistakes game plan, or do you think that was just the way that things were going?
I think from a decision-making standpoint, from the coaches' side of it, I think once they jumped up 10-0, I think that the conservative nature certainly seemed to show up. Now, who knows? We can't answer that, whether they would have been that way regardless. But I think the fact that they're able to jump out 7-0, you stole a possession, and then you were able to jump out 10-0 after that, You can see after that, you saw, was it a plus territory punt or was it just shy
just
of midfield?
shy of plus territory?
Just shy of plus territory. We saw runs
which
on
they
third
then
and long.
punted into the end zone.
Right. Yeah, exactly. So you saw the runs on third and
You know
long.
what? I think it was plus territory.
It was, if it wasn't,
it was
close.
plus. It was plus territory.
Okay. Yeah, that's what I thought.
It was like the 46 or something like that. And it was 4th and 5.
And it's uncharacteristic. You know, we have come to, at this point, to not expect them to be that way. So, I think the early lead kind of led them down
that one
path.
was interesting. It was 7-0 at that point.
Yep.
And they had called that 3rd and 5 swing pass to Saquon. It was empty. He goes in motion, which, I get the point of that play, but it did feel a little bit predictable. So then you punt there in plus territory. I think there was another decision that was there were several cowards draws in this game that probably were like, let's just not make a mistake here. The Nick decision that you were laughing about, Fran, was the end of the game. It's 19-10, and they do the try to draw them offsides thing, and then call timeout for like a 30-yard field goal. Like, just take the penalty.
Just take the 5 yards at that point, rather than waste the time.
We're that worried about Jake Elliott? I mean, he missed an extra point in this game, but you might need that.
Yeah, but the people in Vegas are saying.
Yeah.
It was good to end the game with Jake seeing 2 field goals.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Shout out to Jake.
He
was all smiles after them two too. I would have been all smiles too.
I know.
And the last one was
the
dead
last
center.
one was dead center.
Yeah. So that was good.
Striped it.
Tycho WID says, what are the chances that AJ was injured and was just a decoy tonight? He seemed to be all smiles, even with just a few targets. I think that's actually worth considering.
And got a couple of nice blocks as well. In the
Yeah,
game.
on the Goedert one, he was downfield really.
On the Goedert one, on the Jalen Hurts run in the second drive of the game.
Yes.
He had another one on a screen. So he was very present as a blocker. I don't think it was a decoy. I just think that it's a playoff win. And
the presence of mind for him to bring that book
he said,
ahead of time.
In the locker room, he has it with him on the sidelines every game.
Okay.
So
did they ask him what he was like? Because it was purposeful. Like it looked like he knew.
He went
exactly
to it
what
like
was
a
going
dog-eared page of like his favorite passes.
But it also looked like he was, spreading the word to, his fellow.
You think so?
His receivers on there. Yeah, just trying to, get guys.
I think Jim Murphy, the author of said book, is going to be very happy with his bank account at the end of today.
Let's take
I would imagine.
Everybody go on the record now before we hear from Zach. Has Zach already ordered the book?
Yes.
I think yes. Without a bit, I think that he has already ordered the book.
What are the chances he already owns it?
0.
I would be surprised.
$17.99.
I wouldn't be
price point.
shocked. I wouldn't be shocked.
Yeah.
He's going to sell out on Amazon, and it's all going to go to the Delaware Valley.
Zach will have finished this book before the week is over, I think.
Listen,
if I know my man.
All I know is if this book jump and sells, my man better buy a couple A.J. Brown jerseys and donate to A.J. Brown's foundation.
Inner excellence. Train your mind for extraordinary performance and the best possible life.
How not to choke your quarterback.
Tell everybody about the Zach quote tweet.
Oh. Zach said when Chip Kelly was here, he quote tweeted our show account tweet and said, in the summer of 2015, I read the autobiography of Benjamin Franklin because I learned that it was Chip Kelly's favorite. He said, I didn't learn any insight to Chip Kelly.
He loves that story.
But I did learn a lot about stoves.
He loves that story.
Oh, there you go.
Okay, we'll get to that in a sec. Santiago with a few more.
Benjamin Franklin
shout
was
out
a pervert.
All right.
Santiago,
thank you for the donation, Santiago.
He's back in the place that he belongs. Yeah. Back to the doghouse. Thanks, Santiago. All right, let's take a look at the clip of the Quinyon Mitchell celebration, Vinny. Take us through it again. Seeks out his man.
Come through. Hit him in the stomach. The crowd, the pedigree. And the crowd
that's
goes wild.
it's DeJean. It's DeJean, not Blankenship.
Wait, did Slay come through with a chair?
Yeah, Slay comes through with a chair at the end.
I got to say, a terrible sell job from DeJean. He goes down too easy.
Oh, DeJean doesn't know how to take a bump.
He doesn't know how to take a bump. What a bad sell.
Lot to work on.
Not quite as good of a sell as Dontavian Wicks on the DPI against Quinyon Mitchell. Outstanding sell by him, I will say, down the field.
You know what? the refs were a little bit too litigious on both sides. I thought like that should not have been pass interference. I thought it could have been illegal contact. He did seek out contact. Yes. The Saquon roughness on the sideline, like I get it, but that's a tough one. I mean, he was pretty far out of bounds.
It was outside the white.
But
I think if it's in the white,
that was a tough one. The holding call on Devontae Smith, I thought, was pretty weak. So yeah, I mean, I don't know if they're getting paid by the flag or what, but not great. I can't get how bad. What a bad sell. They must have practiced that so many times.
Well,
Cooper, come on.
Oh man. Woof.
Guy's busy in the playbook, man. He doesn't have time for that.
Yeah, but it still was a great thought.
It's a good celebration.
Great thought.
Yeah. Slay could have given a little more.
Vinny, if you could do any finishing move as a celebration, what would it be?
Probably a little bit of sweet chin music.
Yeah, I mean, but can you get up with the sweet chin music?
You got to tune the band up.
Yeah.
You know how you tune the band up?
Yeah.
The whole, you know what I mean? Everybody know when they tune the band up is. They're like, but now, the Usos usually like a lot. Like,
you guys are speaking Greek to me.
Oh.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Because you got to think of one that like you can do without it actually do. Like you couldn't do like Cena's move because you can't just like actually throw the guy off.
I would do a stunner too, though.
You could do a stunner. You could do a stunner for sure. I mean, you could do sharpshooter.
I'm not really a submission guy.
Yeah, okay, it's not as good for that. You don't like a submission? I like the storytelling of you gotta work the leg the whole match and finally get him or work the back to get ready for the sharpshooter. Like I don't know, it's kind of fun. But it doesn't come out of nowhere.
Your sweet chin music answer. He said that's a good one.
You could do like a Macho Man elbow.
I'm my big ass is not getting on the top rope.
Who was that one wrestler that did the ass celebration? Rafiki or whatever?
Rikishi.
Yeah. You could do that.
You could ass face one of your teammates.
You could do like a Legion of Doom thing. You get one guy up on the shoulders.
That would be dope.
But then I guess that's tough to actually pull off.
Yeah.
And now you're talking props.
Yeah. I guess you could do. I mean, you could do Undertaker.
I'll probably break somebody's neck for real.
If they're wearing the helmet, it'd be like somebody goes in the concussion protocol because he got tombstoned.
DDP with the diamond cutter.
Yeah, okay. That's a nice one. That's a nice one.
That's all I got.
Triple H responded to Twitter. Triple H responded.
Oh, Triple H responded on
Did we
Twitter.
see that?
Oh, did he really?
Oh, I'll have to pull it up. I'll send it to Julia.
That's funny. All right, Vin, I have the snap counts for you.
I didn't even know it was a Triple H thing.
From the defense here. As I pull it up. So 60 snaps overall in the game for the Eagles defense. Zack Baun and Quinyon Mitchell play all 60 snaps. CJ Gardner-Johnson and Reed Blankenship play 59. 58 of 60 snaps for Jalen Carter. So back on that pace of playing almost every snap. 54 for Cooper DeJean. Eagles were in 11 personnel or in nickel personnel for most of this game. 52 for Slay and Nolan Smith. 48 for Josh Sweat. 41 for Milton Williams. 32 for Oren Burks, 22 for Nakobe Dean, 18 for Moro Ajama, 18 for Jalix Hunt, 13 for Isaiah Rodgers, 12 for Jordan Davis, 1 for Avonte Maddox, 1 for Bryce Huff.
One snap.
Wow.
One snap. They didn't need him.
No.
I mean, they didn't have. There were a lot of drives that were short drives in this game. Like that does make sense. But yeah, I don't think they saw what they wanted to see in Week 18 from Bryce Huff, which honestly is fair. Okay.
Basically, no blitzing from the Eagles side. Two blitzes, 5.6%, lowest of any team in the playoffs so far. I'm just starting to go through some of these other next.
Do they have man zone yet, or is it too early for that?
No, they do. Give me 1 sec. I can give it to you.
Because the story coming into this game was that the Packers offense much better against zone, much worse against man, especially with no Christian Watson. But the book on the Eagles is they are more heavy zone and certainly much less blitz, and the Packers were not good against the blitz. And so the question was, would Vic Fangio change the structure of the defense to match what the weaknesses of the opponent was, or would he stick with what they're good at?
13.9% man coverage. So
there
basically no man. It's a whole bunch of zone against this receiving core. That's the second lowest of any team in the playoffs so far. And it looks like it was mostly, it was like 56% cover 4. Again, the coverage stuff can change from as they start to go through the all 22. But so far, 56% cover 4 according to Next Gen Stats.
There you go.
86%.
By the way, on the Bryce Huff thing, really a credit to the front office that you can whiff on your big free agent move and be this good. You know, like not many teams can afford to whiff on a $17 million D end. And it unfortunately was a whiff this year.
It's fair. And it's a good case for this whole season. It's a good case for player development, right?
Absolutely.
The Eagles are very proud of their player development. They think that they do some...
Connor Barwin's department, right?
They think they do some differentiated stuff. It's hard to really know how much is to that from the outside. But you talk about Nolan Smith, Nakobe Dean for one in this game. I think it also says a lot about what the Eagles would say is a big improvement in like position coaches from last season.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, when you look at what Bobby King at linebacker, what
Christian Parker,
thank you, has done in the secondary. I think when you look at both of those coaches in particular, a lot to like about what they've done with their respective groups.
How did you get McDonald?
DK.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
that makes more sense.
Yeah, right. Last year's coach.
With
Kansas State.
It's good that it's not BK McDonald, because then it's like Burger King and McDonald's together.
That's a lot
it's too much at odds with itself.
And if his wife's name was Wendy, it'd be really.
Fran is quick, man. Fran is good.
Isn't there free Big Macs for Eagles wins?
If you get a sack, I think.
Nolan Smith got people free Big Macs.
We got two sacks.
There we go. What's going on in that other game right now?
So the Bucks, as of right now, are still up 3-0, but the Commanders went forward on fourth, got stopped instead of taking the 3 points to tie it.
Okay.
Now they're driving again. The offense is moving the ball in the Bucks.
Right.
Interesting.
Jaden Daniels, he terrifies me.
One more thing. We were talking about resigning Zach, but we also need to resign Mekhi Becton.
Yeah.
I thought he had a Pro Bowl season, though.
You got Josh Sweat, you got Milton Williams, you got Becton, you got Baun.
I thought it was very good. I think that this is the one where the Eagles are most willing to let him go potentially. Now, we'll see how it plays out, because I also think that this is the one where Mekhi Becton is probably most likely to be willing to take a little bit of a discount to come back because he's seen what it's like elsewhere, and he also had a first-round pick contract. I think from the Eagles' perspective, they're going to have to extend Cam Jurgens soon. And so if you're going to pay top of the market for left tackle, right tackle, left guard, and center, do you need to pay for a right guard when, like, you know that you have Stoutland and
you invested in Steen.
This guy's playing between Jurgens and Lane anyway? I think the way to sell it would be if Stout thinks, and Fran has made this point, if Stout thinks that Mekhi can be a right tackle after Lane retires.
Oh,
right.
I put my money on Stout.
Only offensive line in the NFL. All 5 guys got all pro votes.
Wow.
I mean, that's wild. Yeah.
Stoutland's locked up for life, right? Like, give him 1% of the ownership, something. That man can never leave.
He's the highest paid assistant or position coach
him more.
in the NFL. We know
There's no cap on coaches, right? Pay him more.
Yeah, I think he probably he probably does. What do you think about Mekhi Becton moving forward?
I would say, if we're talking between Baun, Milton, and Mekhi.
And Sweat.
And Sweat. Yeah, that's true. That's a good point, too.
Yeah.
We haven't talked enough about. All 4 are probably in a similar type of price range in terms of what you're probably looking at.
14 and a half.
Yeah, per year. I would say all 4 are probably going to be in that same price range. And if I had to guess, I shouldn't do this because I know we have an off-season game coming up in a couple of weeks where we're going to be ranking these. But
maybe not for another month.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, but you still got 3 more playoff games to go.
I would say most likely to come back. It's probably honestly post Dean injury. It's probably Baun at this point, and I would say least likely. I mean, I guess it depends on Sweat and like how much of that is like burned bridge at this point.
It might be Sweat.
And that's not done. But after that, it'll probably be Becton for the reasons you outlined. I think that Milton would be a little bit more likely, although with the way that Morrow has played, he popped again tonight. He drew a holding call in the run game.
Yeah.
He's been disruptive. But I think that they value the homegrown guys. I think they'd want to pay Milton and try and keep him here too. I think
Milton is the one, though, of that group who could get just a crazy offer that they can't afford to match.
Right.
See, and I think, as good as Milton been playing all season, you got to put Jordan Davis on the field. That's just
Jordan Davis played 12 snaps tonight.
Yeah,
Milton played 41.
But y'all know how this go. Year 3, your ass is on the seat.
I don't know that we've seen
12
enough from him in the passing game.
Yeah. 12 snaps in a game where you knew Green Bay was trying to run the ball. That's surprising. I would have expected
Jordan,
more.
I'm trying to help you. I'm trying to help you.
He wants
12
there.
snaps?
I mean, Ajama played 18 snaps.
Jeez.
Yeah. I don't know.
By the way, Commanders are driving inside the 10 in the red zone
What's
here.
the score right now?
3-0 still.
Okay.
They just picked up the first.
Let's talk about just sort of the flow of this game a little bit. Obviously it starts. You get the kickoff fumble on the opening kickoff of the game. 3 plays, they score a touchdown, and you're thinking, okay, here we go. This is going to be a rout. You said to Jamie, like late first quarter, that what did it remind you of?
Look, shiver down my spine, Fran.
Good. Yeah. Look,
One of those things. He did the thing where he's like, no, I'm not going to say it. No,
It popped in my head. It was just me and Jamie at the desk, and we're sitting there, and I'm like, I'm going to say it. And I was like, you know what? I'm not going to say this. I'm not going to manifest. I'm not going to put it in the universe.
I can't do that.
So I put it out. The game that it reminded me of was the 2002 NFC Championship game, January 2003, against the Tampa Bay Bucks, the last game at the Vet, where Brian Mitchell gets the long kick return. It's a big special teams play. Offense scores fast. They jump out 7-0, and then it was kind of listless after that. You kept the other team in the game, and then Tampa Bay comes back and wins. And then you obviously you have Joe Jurevicius and Rondé Barber. So to me, like that. In the first half, that's what this game started to feel like a little
catch was like illegal. That's still one of the nastiest catches.
He's still running. Bishop's still chasing after him.
And Blaine was hurt.
Fortunately, it wasn't like that.
What's that?
I said, fortunately, it didn't turn out quite like that.
But that was the game that it reminded me of as it was progressing through the first half.
Commanders touchdown, but there's a flag on the field.
Okay.
But I think it's on the defense.
So Eagles go up 7-0. The defense forces a punt again, a 3-and-out. Eagles punt from the 47. We talked about 4th and 5. Eagles defense forces another punt. Eagles get a field goal where they stall in the red zone, go up 10-0. And then from there on out, the Eagles' next 4 possessions go punt, 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 punt.
Yeah.
With 1 first down across 4 possessions. I mean, in the middle of this game, were you feeling pretty squeaky bum?
Yeah. I mean, late into the third quarter, Jalen Hurts had 39 passing yards. I was like a duck. I was calm on the surface, and below the water, I was freaking the hell out. I was panicked.
Just like crushing buffalo chicken pizza.
Well, I mean, in fauress, it is Angelo's.
Shout out to Angelo's. Yeah.
I'm very full right now.
Yeah,
I ate
I'm
way
very
too
uncomfortable.
much. I ate a gummy.
2 for 11 on third down, and that's not one of those. Oh yeah, but then they went 4 for 4. No, they went 2 for 11 on third down, and they went 1 for 1 on fourth down. It was not a good game. Not a good game offensively. Overall.
Yeah, I mean, just the numbers in this game: total net yards 302 for the Packers, 290 for the Eagles. Basically the same. They had the same amount of plays from scrimmage, 60 and 57. They both had 5 yards per play. Like, the numbers of this game was dead even, except for the 4 turnovers that the Eagles forced on defense, and that's why we're standing here talking about going to the divisional round.
So we talked about the teams that you would feel comfortable, and I think a lot of it has been framed around defensive coordinators, but let's talk through offensive mind quarterback combinations.
Okay.
All right, so power rank Liam Cohen, Baker Mayfield, Cliff Kingsbury, Jaden Daniels.
Well, you can't play them to the. But
I don't know why I keep saying them.
It's okay.
Kevin O'Connell, Sam Darnold, or McVay, Stafford.
Yeah, those are pretty good.
Right.
I mean, I think you got to put Darnold third with O'Connell.
Right.
I think you have to.
You have to. You got to give McVay and Stafford their due. Probably one. That would probably be the most dangerous group. But the Bucs wide receiver group is nasty. Mike Evans is a freak.
Yeah, he is.
I'd probably go Rams 1, Bucs 2.
Rams 1, Bucs 2,
Vikings 3, but I could be talked into a 1.
Still Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison. And
I could be talked into a 1-2 flip-flop, and then the Vikings, Justin Jefferson does count.
Justin Jefferson is good enough to not make it matter that you have 2 awesome quarterbacks.
You think he would go through a playoff game with 2 targets?
No, but I would tell Justin Jefferson that We got Darius Slay.
Quinyon.
You made this case. It was just like a throwaway note in your notes on the Eagles, and when you did the scouting report on the Eagles in week 18. Yeah. That I think Slay's season is going a little bit underrated because all the attention on Quinyon. He's been really good.
I mean, he does not run as well, like straight line, like deep speed as he did when he first got here. But he's playing so well on the ball. He's playing downhill really, really well. He's seeing things really well from a zone standpoint, which we've come to expect. I mean, he's always recognized routes well. The route instincts are always A+. But to me, when we talk about Quinyon and Cooper DeJean and CJ Gardner-Johnson's interceptions and what the defense has done, I feel like Slay just kind of gets brushed to the side. He's been really, really good.
He's also been very physical.
Yes.
Yeah, it's been a very good season. And he's another player who you would look at the contract and think that this is his last year here, which I think it probably still is, but
I could see a 1 year
not
deal
necessarily.
If he was willing to take it.
I could see them trying to tweak that and keep him around. And I would see, honestly, it's up to him, obviously, but I could see him wanting to stay. Why would you want to restart anywhere else at this point?
And we mentioned it during the halftime show, but Isaiah Rodgers,
huge play
because Jordan Love checked out of a run to go test the kid as soon as Slay went out. And Rodgers, if he doesn't break up that touch, because that's a touchdown. If he doesn't break that up, it's a totally different game.
Completely. You got to overlap with Slay, right?
Yeah.
Is he as funny as people say?
Yeah, super. He's hilarious. And his wife make the best banana pudding.
I've heard about this banana pudding.
Zach Berman has written about it.
Let me tell you something. Man, I used to be sitting there come on, Slay, yo, just put mine to the cut. Oh,
and she did a cool thing. She was giving out tickets to today's game, which she always does on Twitter, which is very cool.
Yeah, nah, man.
What makes it so good?
Vanilla wafers in it?
Man, all that's in there. I don't know.
Vanilla?
I don't know. It's just good. Listen,
I believe, if I remember from Zach's story, it was originally Golden Tate's wife's recipe. No, I'm serious. I think,
right.
I think that's what
they were in Detroit together, right?
Yeah. I could be wrong.
Seinfeld's got the bit where it's whatever's delicious in this world, the answer is always cinnamon. So maybe she's sneaking some cinnamon in there.
Or just sugar.
A lot of sugar. Vanilla. That's my dad pancake.
Banana.
Secret. You sneak a little vanilla in the pancake batter.
Absolutely.
It's in a jar.
Fantastic.
It's in a jar, and it's crazy. Even the
like little mason jars?
Yeah, the production and presentation on that thing is good. Damn. All right.
Fantastic. A few more super chats as we hear from you. Mike, shouting it out. Love that. And Tycho says, what are the oh no, this was the one from before, from AJ potentially being injured in a decoy tonight. So yeah, I mean, we didn't talk about AJ and Devontae hampered coming into this game. Devontae in the middle of this game, there were two big plays where it was the third and short.
Yep.
Where the offense had not been moving, and they go to that sort of classic Eagles play, just flip the side of it, and they find Devontae open in space. And then after his penalty, there was another big play from Devontae.
Yeah, so there was a play action rollout. The first one you mentioned, it was on third and short, 3rd and 3. That goes for 29 yards. Your basic run of the mill play action bootleg. And then the next play or 2 plays later, they went to him for 10 yards on just a quick hitch to the outside. The over under on my best bets was 56.5. He got to 55. Fell just short. But the numbers still added up there in terms of zone coverage, Devontae Smith, man-to-man,
right.
A.J. Brown.
All right, as we await our friend Zach Berman, who is gathering all the intel from the locker room, we will take one more break here on the PHLY Eagles postgame show presented by Bet365 and TrueMark Financial. Talk to you about our friends at Golden Nugget. Because as the Eagles are chasing some jewelry of their own, maybe you want to join them. Downtown Philadelphia, 8th and Chestnut, we're talking about a family-owned and operated business since 1987. If you're getting engaged, they have a wide assortment of rings and wedding bands to fit anyone's style. You can receive a final cleaning and written appraisal with every engagement ring purchase. Not just wedding jewelry. You can find watches, diamond necklaces, diamond bracelets, earrings, and more. You deserve an expert and the best price. Golden Nugget Jewelers, where Philly gets engaged. Head over to goldennuggetjewelers.com to learn more.
And let me tell you about Glatt Hair Restoration. If you looked at Johnny Marks' beautiful coif of hair every morning, you know that Dr. Glatt works. And he's now teamed up with the Morgenstern Medical Center, and the Glatt Group are together. They're like a super team. And Dr. Glatt and Dr. Morgenstern have decades of experience in the market, and they take the same peerless approach to care, same expert team, and the same unmatched Glatt system with the same state-of-the-art location with the same stellar results. And anyone can buy equipment and say they do restoration. Only Glatt Hair offers decades of proven results using an innovative approach and delivered by leaders in the industry. And they can help at all stages of hair loss with leading-edge treatments for prevention and restoration, including laser light therapy, non-invasive TED treatments, vitamin supplementation, topical and oral medications, PRP and stem cell restoration, plus hair restoration surgery. Each patient gets a one-on-one consultation to pinpoint the best course of treatment. And Glatt Hair isn't just about restoration, it's about innovation. Their breakthrough treatments really do dramatically change lives. Change your hair, change your life. Bald is now optional. If you want to improve how you look and feel about yourself, Glatt Hair has the right treatment for you. Regain your confidence. Visit glatthairmctr.com or call 610-980-4000 to get started.
And thank you again to Bet365 and TrueMark Financial for sponsoring this playoff coverage. Download the Bet365 app and use code PHLY365 when you sign up, whatever the moment. It's never ordinary at Bet365 and visit TrueMark.com/compare for full details to apply today. TrueMark Financial, federally insured by the NCUA, equal opportunity lender. What do you got, Jamie?
A.J. Brown just tweeted the book and the highlighted page that I guess he reads.
Oh, wow.
And the tweet says, "This game is 90% mental and 10% physical for me. I bring it to every game, and I read it between each drive. I use it to refocus and lock in, despite what may transpire in the game, good or bad. People tend to create controversy when they don't know the truth." And it's a couple. I'm not going to read it all, but as you can see there, I'll send it to Julia. Looks like there's about, probably about 2 paragraphs worth that are underlined and highlighted.
AJ is the man.
On page 2, Zach Berman. So you can start. You get the good stuff.
Oh, really? It
early.
looked like he was in the middle of the book.
Yeah.
Interesting.
The first line is, "We all had times when everything comes together in perfect harmony. Sacred moments when we were totally imminent in the experience and felt fully alive."
You should do that guy's audiobook.
I want to.
Jim Murphy just got paid today. Jim Murphy might be happier than any Eagles fan right now.
I gotta find. I want to find this.
Yeah, AJ just tweeted it. Not.
Do I not have the right AJ Brown Twitter account? Oh, it's okay.
It's 1K always open.
That's what I thought.
Always
open.
So Dallas Goedert finishes 4 catches, 47 yards, and a touchdown. That's now 7 straight playoff games with at least 4 catches for Dallas Goedert. Most by an Eagles player since 1970. Only Travis Kelce and Tyreek Hill have longer active streaks. I would have guessed that.
I never would have guessed that.
Dallas Goedert also second in Eagles franchise history in touchdown catches in the postseason.
What?
Crazy.
Second
behind only Harold.
Really?
What?
That's wild.
That is bonkers.
He's the only player with a receiving touchdown in each of the last 3 playoffs.
So I guess last year when they had in that game when they had no
AJ wasn't in it,
right?
I don't know.
That's crazy though.
Yeah.
I mean,
they haven't had a lot of sustained playoff runs with the same offense. Like even in the early 2000s, it was different personnel,
right?
And then the Super Bowl run,
Yeah, but
Nick spread it around a little.
The playoffs, them there, his whole.
Yeah, but they only ever played one game. They never won a playoff game those other years. I guess that makes sense.
Yeah, I would not.
Julia has the results of the poll, and it looks like it is definitely it's going to finish with the Rams at the top. 55%. You guys want to see the Rams, and then the Bucks, and then the Vikings.
They kind of own McVay a little bit, just like they own the Packers. I'll say it. The Eagles just straight up own the Packers. I mean, they do. They own the Packers.
They own the Packers.
All the way back to 1960 on their asses.
Okay.
My first ever game, 10-9, Chris Bono.
I thought you were going to say 1960 was your first ever game. I didn't think we're that old. That's who you guys want to see. I'll tell you who I want to see. I want to see Zach Berman. Let's bring him in now, the Eagles insider. Now, Zach, we didn't get to see Nick Sirianni, so we want to hear what he said. We want to hear everything you learned in the locker room, but we do have to start. We have a little bit of a bet here. Our question is, have you already placed your order for that A.J. Brown book?
I've not placed my order yet, but I am eager to read it. I'm eager to chat with AJ about it. I'm always curious what players are reading. I once read Chip Kelly's favorite book in the summer of 2015 to try to learn more about Chip. As I like to say, it was the autobiography of Benjamin Franklin. I learned nothing about Chip. I learned a lot about stoves. And I often ask players what they're reading. I wish for my sake that he was reading The Franchise or Underdogs. I could have,
you should have seen the top of the show, Zach.
No, I could have used a national TV bump there. But no, AJ said after the game, he said he does this all the time. The players on the team, his teammates call it the recipe book because he's in it so often. He said it just so happened that the TV cameras caught it, but this is this is something that he goes to fairly often. So he was laughing about it. If you are seeing an AJ Brown interview on TV or our social media channels during the next few days, and you see like my book in the background there, maybe it's because I'll try to slip him a book this week. But no, in all seriousness, he said that it's not a big deal. It's something he does fairly often.
Very interesting. Very cool. So
yeah.
Give us the big takeaways.
Thank you, Vinny.
From the locker room, from your vantage point, Zach. Yeah. What was the vibe?
Yeah, it was a very business-like vibe, if you will. It was, the offensive players were acknowledging this wasn't pretty. Julia. Like Lane Johnson was a truth teller there, but it doesn't matter. As Lane said, this game won't get good Yelp reviews for them, but they won, right? And his point being, like, it wasn't pretty, but survive in advance, to use that term. It was really the defense that stood out. This is the fewest points the Packers have scored all season, and the defense excelled. And I understand Green Bay was undermanned, but especially at wide receiver. But there was a lot of shine on the way Nolan Smith played, a lot of shine on the way Zack Baun played, a lot of shine on the way Quinyon Mitchell played. Jalen Hurts says he owes Quinyon Mitchell something after the interception. Now, I thought this was going to be something like spicy, juicy, or, some designer bag that you might own, Bo. But that's a callback to the presents. That's a callback to the presents last year. Do you remember when you said you would like that bag, the Louis Vuitton bag? But no, it's actually just an Instagram shout out was all that he owes. Although Jalen once said that he doesn't control his social media channel, so someone's going to have to put out the Instagram shout out for Quinyon Mitchell. But Zack Baun, this has been a big week for Zack Baun, making first team All-Pro, and then has this performance in the postseason. He said it was a crazy week. Nolan Smith, and I'll have a story on this later this week. I spoke to Nolan about this a few weeks ago, but like when he was talking about like what's going through his mind after a game like this, he's like, I'm supposed to be on the docks right now working the graveyard shift, a reference to his hometown and since in Savannah, Georgia. So Nolan Smith, a huge game, 2 sacks, and Lane Johnson said like he loves Nolan. Everyone knows about Nolan's athleticism, but Nolan's really coming on as a pass rusher, and specifically referenced the way he rushed against Zach Tom, who Lane thinks is one of the best right tackles in the NFL.
Interesting. Yeah, I mean, we talked about it. It was an absolutely impressive performance from Nolan Smith. Were you there for Nick, Zach?
No, I did not go to Nick today. I'm going to have to listen to Nick back. I was really trying to work the room today, hear a bunch of different perspectives. There wasn't like a hot button decision with Nick that I felt I needed to ask him on. So really, I was trying to take the temperature in the locker room. And yeah, I should also add that there was a lot of sentimentality, or if that's the right term, for the Nakobe Dean injury, right? Players praying for him. Nakobe's, in their thoughts, a lot of talk about how important he is to this team. And it's pretty clear that Nakobe's going to miss some time here, right? So, yeah, that's something that came up quite a bit. And Nolan Smith was saying that he was there praying with Nakobe. He tried to get Nakobe up. Nakobe couldn't get up. He came to see Nakobe in the locker room. He said that, and Vinny understands this. He says people say it's just football, but like this is their livelihood, right? So how much it pains him to see Nakobe down like that.
Yeah, it's a brutal one, and for a guy who has already fought through so much in a young career and was excelling this season, it is pretty brutal, and you can understand why it would affect the guys, especially with so many guys who have played with him for so long. What did you make, Zach, of just the incredible defensive performance, forcing 3 turnovers, 1 more on special teams? How proud was that group of what they were able to do against the Packers?
Yeah, I would say proud, but I would also say unsurprised. Like that group, the question was posed to Darius Slay about the way they played against the Packers. And he's like, do you know what? We were ranked this year. And, the person was like in the top 10. He's like, top 10, we were number 1, So it was like, it's a group that expects to play this way. And that's from talking to, I spoke to about 6 guys on the defense today. I was going around the locker room because one of my stories is going to be on the defense. And it was interesting to hear just the way they talk about Vic Fangio, just like a mastermind of scheme and adjustments, of putting them in the right spots. So that came up. Even like Zack Baun was saying that he said the interception for him was like his dream interception. But he said he's going to lament. He had some missed tackles tonight that are really going to bother him. He said number 8, Josh Jacobs, is a real difficult player to tackle. But he said the interception itself was like, for him, it was like the perfect interception just because of like the way he was able, the way Fangio trusts him to make certain adjustments throughout the play that given the situation, given the way he intercepted it. And early in the year, he didn't have Fangio's trust. Like when the season started, he didn't have Fangio's trust to make that type of adjustment on the play and on the ball. And I asked him when and how he got that trust. And he said he doesn't know when. He's like, he would have to think about it. He said it just kind of happened. But it's interesting hearing Baun, because this is the cool thing about my role here is like every week is like a chapter in the season, right? So I remember vividly being in Brazil, talking to Zack Baun in that locker room. And mind you, at the time, Zack Baun was, I don't want to say like the surprise starter, but this unknown starter. There was like only 2 of us talking to Zack Baun. He plays this amazing game. And it's like, wow, Zack Baun, can you believe this? Can you believe this? And now here he is, 18 weeks later, and first team All-Pro. He's not the best player in the defense, but like one of the 2 best players in defense, one of the 3 best players in the defense, one of the best players in the NFL this season. And he's basically saying, like he's not putting a limit on what he can do. And he's not putting, he said this is his first year playing inside linebacker. So there's a lot left for him to get to. And so it's interesting how it was like a surprise 18 weeks ago. And now it's the expectation that Zack Baun has this huge interception, because when you consider game flow, that was a big play in the game, right? If Green Bay scores before half, things look a little different perhaps. And all over the field, Nakobe goes down. Zack Baun's wearing the green dot. So it says a lot about Zack Baun's evolution, the type of game that he had tonight. And me, I'm always a sucker for narratives. This is a guy from Milwaukee doing this against the Packers. I remember him pointing that out to me in Brazil. And when I asked him this week, he was like, he didn't really follow the Packers. He actually followed the 49ers. He liked Colin Kaepernick. He said he kind of likes sticking it to the Packers, but he's not a real big football, or he wasn't a big Packers fan growing up. And so he was getting those questions tonight. And he's like, yeah, it didn't matter to me that it was the Packers. So yeah, this is the expectation for Zack Baun at this point.
So Zach, not locker room specific, but what did you make of the quarterback's performance tonight?
I thought he started off really well. 6 for 6. The opening drive there, them getting points, and then just went into a prolonged lull. And I thought that he was certainly inconsistent, right? I mean, there was that one point there where he had 7 consecutive incompletions. I thought he missed AJ, and he pointed this out. He missed AJ on a pass that he should have hit him on. And I thought they just could have done more. There was just a lack of rhythm. Now, Jalen said he had to watch the film. He said he didn't necessarily feel rusty from it. He also said it doesn't matter how you win. It's just winning. He was kind of spinning it like this is a big, he's never won a wild card game before. He said, and it's been a long time since Philly has won a wild card game. So he pointed that part out. But it was my read on it. This was not the type of game that it will take to beat Detroit. This was not the type of game that it might take to beat Minnesota next week, or we'll see. What's the score in Tampa, Washington?
Commanders are up 10-3 right now.
Yeah. So I mean maybe Tampa next week, right? Maybe the Rams, right? We'll see. But I actually think that next week's game might be a little easier than this week's game.
I said the same thing.
I'll frame it this way. Yeah. I'll put it this way. Jalen will need to play much better to beat Detroit on the road. And I think if you had an honest conversation with Jalen, he would probably admit as much too. Up there, he wasn't saying it. But I don't think he played well. I think he played well enough. And what I mean by that is, and he referenced this, he didn't turn the ball over tonight, right? Jordan Love, threw the ball to the Eagles twice, or three times, right? And so that right there in a close game, that matters. And it's not pretty. You don't want to kind of put the game manager label on it. I thought he did enough, but he needs to be better.
Zach, earlier this season, we could not get you to do the Cooper DeJean celebration. Can we get you to do the Saquon?
Oh, okay, yeah. Well, okay. Is that like a thing, the Saquon? So by the way, I'm pretty sure that the Cooper DeJean celebration has like meaning to it that I probably don't want to put out there, right? So I don't want to do the Cooper DeJean celebration. The Saquon, what is it, like this? Yeah, I'm pointing here. The PHLY studio is that way. How about that?
Not bad. Pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not bad.
I didn't get a chance to catch up with Saquon. Was eager to do so, but he was talking at the same time as AJ, and I knew the listeners wanted to know all about the book.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I saw our friend Shio Kapadia when I was on the elevator. I saw a tweet from Shio saying like 30 years from now, this game's going to be remembered as the game when AJ was reading the book. And it's funny because like that's not how it shows. It's why it's important for me to be in touch with what people who are watching on TV are following, because if you're at this game, that's not this huge story, right? But if you're at home, it's probably a bigger deal, right? And so it's not something that I thought was a huge deal, but I guess he was laughing it off. His teammates were laughing it off. Jalen was asked about it, and Jalen said that he's seen him carry the book around. He hasn't seen him read it on the sideline before, but he says everyone has their own ways of kind of getting focused. AJ talked about there's a specific passage in the book early on that is like particularly meaningful to him that he thinks is important for his like mental stability out there.
He tweeted it out, Zach. You can read all about it.
Zach, if you had to read...
Yeah, he tweeted out the actual quotes that he reads.
Okay, awesome. I like AJ. He's real like that.
If you, Zach, had to read a book as you were covering a game in the press box that, books you have written excluded, what would it be to get you to lock in?
Oh, to get me to lock in.
Benjamin.
So are we talking like journalistic books? Or talking, what's that? Are we talking
Vinny said
like,
Benjamin Franklin.
What's that?
Vinny said the Benjamin Franklin autobiography.
Yeah, I mean, I got to tell you, I remember it was the summer of 2015, and I'm sitting at the beach, and my wife was then my fiance was like, "What are you reading?" And I'm like, "The autobiography of Benjamin Franklin." She's like, "Why are you reading the autobiography of Benjamin Franklin?" I was like, "Well, it's Chip Kelly's favorite book," and she just rolled her eyes at me. She probably knew then what she was getting into. But
the first of many rolled eyes, I would imagine.
Yes, many rolled eyes. Yeah. So what would I read to kind of get me into? There's so many. So I would probably go non-journalism. I would probably go with Adam Grant has some good books. Think Again is a good book that I recommend. It's kind of the art of rethinking, which has always been valuable. I would say, shout out to Adam Grant. I don't think Adam Grant's watching this, but he's someone whose books I really enjoy. I like Thinking Fast and Slow. That's a good one. There's I can mention a Malcolm Gladwell book or two, but Bo would roll his eyes. I like Dick Schaap's book Flashing Before My Eyes is a memoir that kind of gets me in like a good writing flow sometimes. But I would probably say maybe you know what actually I would go with Grit by Angela Duckworth. That's what I would read. Grit by Angela Duckworth. Shout out to Angela Duckworth as well. She's also outstanding.
She's a diehard. We appreciate her support. Would you say
that's
Zach,
amazing.
Yeah, of course. She's a big Charlie O'Connor fan. Loves the Flyers.
Of course, shout out to Amazon.
As am I.
Yeah.
As am I. and
Shout
your
out to
local
Bill in the
bookshop.
chat as well.
Oh yeah, awesome job on the postgame show, Bill. Enjoyed it.
Yeah, Bill said he bought 50 copies. He's going to hawk them for $30 a pop in the parking lot next week.
I mean, that's just good business.
Yeah, I mean, smart.
Yeah, I don't know if the parking lot's the crowd for that, but hey, you never know.
Zach, earlier this season, after that Saints game, you said it was the best play of Dallas Goedert's Eagles career. Would you say that the touchdown tonight surpassed it?
Great question. Probably significance. Yes, you would say that. I still think that the play in New Orleans, they lose that game if he doesn't make that play.
This is a wild
they
hill for you
lose
to
that
die
game. But yeah, tonight that was awesome.
He was just running wide open.
He broke one tackle, had two stiff arms. It's the context of that game. Devontae Smith, AJ Brown are out of the game. They're in a 3rd and 16 or 3rd and 12, and he has a catch that they hadn't scored or they had not had much of an offensive life that game.
Yeah, but he didn't have to do anything once he caught the ball.
When people are running after you, that's doing something, right? These guys, I know you're a hell of an athlete.
This is a crazy take, I think.
No, Bo, I know you were a great athlete, but when NFL players are chasing you, that's doing something. Okay, that's not like it's not easy. That said, tonight is more. This is a playoff game, and by the way, you talk about significance. At that time, Green Bay had just made it a 1-score game.
Yeah,
the Eagles had 5 consecutive punts, 4 3-and-outs. They needed some type of offensive momentum. Now, Devontae had a big series there, but Dallas's touchdown was huge. So yeah, tonight was the biggest. Well, he also caught a touchdown in the Super Bowl, right?
So Zach, off of that, a little trivia for you. Can you name the second all-time touchdown leader in Eagles playoff history?
Yeah, Dallas Goedert. Yeah,
Sharp.
I mean, context clues. You don't have to puff your chest out like you like.
Yeah. I gotta say, no. This is not meant to be. This is not meant to be passive aggressive. I'm just giving this for context.
Here it comes.
This is gonna be good.
No. So typically, when I come on for a show, I'm in the waiting area for 10 minutes before I'm brought on. So I actually heard the conversation that Fran had when Fran said that. Yeah. So that's I heard Fran bring that up.
All right.
I thought I was gonna have to do with my pink shirt.
Yeah. How do you feel? Are you judging Fran for wearing a very handsome pink shirt here?
Once again, I never judge anyone for wearing pink. Everyone has different, I respect everyone's different styles. I simply say it's not my style. That's like saying
disrespecting the Heart Foundation, Vinny. Come on.
Yeah. No. Now, Fran and I have different style, but Fran pulls that off well.
I will say, Fran, on the monitor, it feels like it looks a little more purple than it looks pink in person. Do you feel like I feel like there's a slightly different color change on the monitor?
Yeah, you might be right about that. Just looking at it now, but I'm regretting the tie. The white, the white tie kind of blows it out a little bit too. I went for the tie to match the shoes. I was hoping to get a drippy comment from.
I think it looks better.
Me personally, I would have definitely did the tie with the white shoes.
Keep the tie with the white shoes. Okay.
It looks better in person. I feel like the coloring of the screen is not doing it justice.
I'll do my best, ZB. Thank you.
Some more color.
Means a lot. Seriously, really does.
Yeah. Now you pull it off. I always say what Jalen Hurts said. It's the person that makes the style, not the style that makes the person, right?
There were people in the chat wondering if you've made use of your new house shoes.
Yes, and I was going to thank people on Monday's show. I truly appreciate it. Yeah, absolutely. I've been wearing those things around. They're actually by the door, so it's my reminder. When I come in the house, I take my shoes off. I put those on. They're great. I'm truly grateful. Truly grateful. Seriously.
All right,
I'm not wearing the pink ones. I'm wearing the black ones. Wait, so it's just some color here from the locker room. The Delaware State head coach, Sean Jackson, was in the locker room. Yeah. So was Gilly the Kid was in the locker room.
Was his little friend with him?
What's that?
Yeah.
Yeah, with the little guy. Was he with him?
Yeah.
Well, once again, that's all relative, right? Like, that guy. Yeah, the guy
that
was
dresses
there
in the Eagle uniform.
Yeah, he was in there. He's not that. I mean, I'm not that much taller than him, right? So I can't say that. But yeah, he was in there. Nick Sirianni dapped him up as well. He was going around saying hello to the players. So he was there. Yeah. So there was on the coolest part of the game was at one point in the second half, Vinny Curry was put on the scoreboard, which was awesome, right? Like, got a huge cheer. I was on Instagram at one point. Vinny working the parking lots was like all over my feed, so people were excited about that. That was cool to see. There were a lot of former Eagles in the house tonight.
Telling them to subscribe.
Amen.
Yeah, let's hit a thumbs up. Let's hit a subscribe. Tell a friend. Tell a neighbor.
Yeah. So I was actually the Eagles had when they had Vinny up there, they had former Eagle Vinny Curry, which is true. I would have liked / PHLY co-host. Would be an awesome.
Yeah, that would have been good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Next week.
We'll work on that.
Next week. Yeah. We'll talk to the people there. Lane Johnson was asking what the scenarios would be for who they would play. So they're eager to see. I think he thought they were playing the winner of the Washington Tampa Bay game. So we had to explain the reseeding part of it. Yeah. So there's curiosity about who they're going to play.
Zach, who do you want? We did a poll. Most people want the Rams 1. Who do you think is the best opponent?
Yeah. So I know people want to avoid Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay. I think the Eagles can beat Tampa Bay. I mean, I think Tampa Bay is the worst of those three teams, if I'm being honest with you. So I would say Tampa Bay. That said, for me personally, I want a Sunday game. So I would rather have Washington win tonight and then the winner of tomorrow's game. It just makes for better content this week. There's like intrigue about tomorrow night's game. And you kind of get you guys know this. Vinny knows this better than all of us. Like football, coaches in particular, but even some players get weird on short weeks, right? They act like one fewer day like changes everything. These guys are so routine oriented. And so I kind of like when players and coaches are in the Sunday to Sunday routine. It helps more for like the flow of the locker room. So that would be my preference. But for the Eagles, I think Tampa Bay is the worst of the three teams they could see.
And if from the Eagles' perspective, even if Tampa is the worst of the teams, if you get a day's rest advantage over the other teams, it sort of makes up for it. All right. Any final thoughts, Zach, before we let you go?
Yeah, I mean, big win for the Eagles. Like I said, style points wasn't there. I thought Lane put it well. This isn't good for their Yelp review, but I thought the story of the game was the defense. Curious to see what happens in the next 3 to 24 hours about the opponent next. The Nakobe Dean injury felt strong. I imagine Oren Burks will be the replacement there going forward.
I wonder if we'll see a little bit of Trotter mixed in, though, because we saw them do that.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I didn't mean to cut you off.
No. You're absolutely right. That's what they did the game Nakobe missed. So Nakobe played 15 games, missed the Cowboys game. Yeah, went back and forth there. I should say, I don't know if you've mentioned this, Nolan Smith played special teams tonight. He was pumped up about that. He thought that was he's a football player. He gets to play more football. One other thing, Jalen Hurts said that, so Jalen was asked, he was asked on Friday about what he learned during his time away. And he's like, I'll tell you guys at another time. Okay. So I was wondering, like, if there's something really deep or profound. And he said today that he was asked about Nakobe. He said one of the things he learned was the bond of the Georgia players and how much that's affecting the defense, and how, like, the confidence those guys bring, the way they play with each other, how big that is for the team. And he says it's kind of like the Alabama guys, but he really sees it on that unit with the Georgia guys. And I thought that was interesting insight from Jalen. And certainly, the Eagles are in a situation now where they have 6 guys from that Georgia defense. So that I thought that was an interesting observation from the franchise quarterback.
All right. Very interesting. All right, Zach, we look forward to reading what you write on allphly.com. Become a diehard if you are not, so you can read that. And we will talk to you tomorrow, my friend. Go ahead.
Can I crowdsource real quick? I'm going to ask you guys. I've one story coming up on the defense. Do you think readers want a story on A.J. Brown's reading? Because I got a lot on it. Do you think that's
if you have a lot on it?
Do you think that's
empty the notebook, baby.
Okay.
Tap into the what's viral.
All right.
If you're not writing it, you're reading it, Zach.
You're absolutely right. There you go. Okay, so 2 stories coming up. The defense.
I don't know how Fran has all of your sayings just like ready at the drop of a hat. He's unbelievable.
You're absolutely right. Then Tuesday, hopefully Tuesday this week, a Nolan Smith story that I've been working on, and some other fun stuff coming up this week. So check it out on allphly.com.
Can't wait to read that Nolan Smith story.
Appreciate that, Vinny.
And then, Zach, I do think you mentioned, I think if the Commanders win this game,
it's 10-10 right now.
And we know ahead of time that the Eagles are going to play the winner of the game tomorrow night. Maybe we'll do our bonus show, our primetime show tomorrow night, and do sort of like a watch-along, react-along deal.
Oh.
That'd be awesome. That's a good idea. Sign me up. I'm in. I'm in.
Yeah. All right. Sounds good. We'll talk to you tomorrow, and we will be checking out allphly.com. Thank you, Zach.
Thank you.
Zach.
See you, Zach.
All right, a couple super chats to run through before we head on out of here. Shahid says, if Saquon was more selfish, the Eagles would have beat a top 5 DVOA team by 3 scores, yet folks act like they lost. There are teams that actually lost. Good perspective. If Saquon runs to the end zone there, that score looks pretty lopsided.
Yeah, he was. I saw the quote going around. He said it was the right thing to do. I'm going to do the right thing for the team.
I know, but he could have got like 30 more yards and then went down.
Yeah.
You just wanted that for Swooper.
No, I actually just wanted it for the best bet.
Yeah, I mean,
3 more yards on that one. And then Eric Ebert says, can you explain the TV schedule opportunities for next week? Love you guys. # Go Birds. We love you too. I don't know how the ordering will work.
Right.
But if it is the Bucks, assuming that the NFL maintains AFC, NFC one day, Saturday. AFC, NFC another day, it'll be Saturday. And then if the Commanders win tonight, they will play Sunday against the winner of that game tomorrow night.
So Bills Ravens has to be the game of the weekend next weekend.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So that's going to be a nighttime.
But I think they might make that the
you can't
Sunday
make
1
that
o'clock.
a daytime game.
They can't.
It can't be.
There's no way.
That's going
to be the night. That's going to NBC will fight for that one if they have an opportunity.
Yeah. Well, it's about who gets priority.
Right. Yeah. And I forget how it goes. I used to be well versed in this.
I can't imagine that a game gets picked ahead of that one though.
ESPN pays the most, but I think they have the least say.
They don't. It's championship when they do like 3 o'clock and 6 o'clock, right?
Right.
They don't do
Correct.
for next weekend. It's another late afternoon Saturday, and then a primetime Saturday, and then a 1 o'clock and a 4 o'clock on Sunday, right? So then I guess maybe they make that the Saturday night game.
I would think
the NBC Saturday night.
Yeah, maybe.
Hold on.
So it still says TBD from
and then
what
you
I'm
get
seeing.
Chiefs Texans.
But I think you're right. I think it's like 3:30, 6:30 type of thing.
So I got a 4:30 and an 8:15 on Saturday.
See, I think that 8:15 is Bills.
Yeah, I think you're right. So I think if it's a Saturday game, it's the
afternoon.
Sunday is a 3 and a 6:30.
Oh, it is a 3 and a 6:30.
Yes, according to the article.
Yeah, they might do Bill. It depends who has the priority.
It's the 2 MVP candidates going.
I mean,
at
that's
each
certainly
other.
the
That's
game.
the game of the weekend.
But I don't know who has priority. It'll depend on that.
Yeah. ESPN pays the most, but has the least say come playoff time. I know that.
Okay.
NBC has a lot of hand, but Fox, I don't know.
Yeah.
I used to know this like the back of my hand.
Because it's I don't know. It's a good question. All right. Before we head on out of here, final thoughts, Vinny. How you feeling? By the way, what was the experience like for you today doing the tailgate stuff and
it was sick,
seeing a
man.
bunch of former teammates?
It was sick.
What was the best thing you ate in the parking lot?
Dude, I had this pretzel dipped in some like brisket broth or something like that. That was crazy.
Like a meat.
An au jus?
It was good. Yeah.
I love an au jus.
Okay.
That was good.
That sounds good.
Yeah, man. That was.
Who were you kicking it with?
We was in carts, all following each other. It was sick. It was fun. Anytime you get to party alongs, the fans, it's always a great time.
Then you're getting lots of PHLY love.
Got to.
So this means we got to run it back next weekend. Are you going to be in the lots?
You know what?
It's good luck.
Exactly. I think we need to get some. I think I needed to get a
full outfit. It's a PHLY gear
like that.
Yeah.
I mean, we got to thank Vinny for the Saquon merch that is on the PHLY locker. You can get some of that stuff if you check out the shop. How about you, Jamie? Final thoughts. How you feeling?
I'm going to wake up feeling great about the defense. This is not a time or place for negative thoughts. I'm not going to think about Jalen. I'm only going to think about it getting better.
We can choose joy. We can choose to be happy about the defense. And
I'm going to choose to believe that Jalen is going to be better next weekend. I am not going to say he's going to repeat the same. I'm going to say he knocked the rust off. He's going to be good next weekend. This defense is great. This defense puts a smile on my face, and I believe this defense can beat anybody.
Fran, we were talking about this last week, how the playoffs are a little bit different.
And Jordan Love's overrated.
There you go. Than the regular season in that, there's less interest in analyzing the last week game because all of a sudden you turn all attention to the next game that's coming up. But you're going to watch the film from last night. What are you going to be from tonight? What are you going to be most interested to see?
I am most interested to see the offense and the pass game. That's what I'm most interested to see. What gave the pass game some trouble? Just because I think I know what to expect from the defense. I think the formula, probably carried over from what we saw for most of the year. I do want to see what coverages and what issues showed up for Jalen Hurts in this game.
All right. Well, we look forward to finding out about that. And we look forward to another full week of coverage as the Eagles are moving on to the divisional round. And we'll find out tonight, potentially, who they're playing. We will have full coverage for you all week. Shows at 2 o'clock, Monday through Friday. One bonus primetime show to be determined when. And then, of course, another set of game day shows next Saturday or Sunday. Thanks to all of you who are here with us live in the chat. Make sure that you hit subscribe and like the video and all that good stuff. Thanks to Julia for making it happen behind the scenes. Thanks to Zach, Fran, Jamie, and Super Bowl champion Vinny Curry. For all of us here, we will talk to you later. And as always, we love you.
Yeah, birds!
We all silly like the mayor.